What's up, guys? It's Halloween again, which means it's time to review a scary movie. And I was considering checking out other movies that came out this year, like the reboot of The Invisible Man or that Sputnik movie. But today I decided to instead do what I sometimes do whenever it's the holidays and review a classic film, as well as a film that was supposed to get a sequel this year. And that film is Candyman, based on the story by Clive Barker, as well as an urban legend, directed by Bernard Rose, and starring Virginia Madsen, Vanessa Estelle Williams, Xander Berkeley, Dejuan Guy, Cassie Lemons, and of course, Tony Todd. And is about a young skeptic grad student named Helen, who is intrigued by the urban legend of the Candyman, a spirit who kills you if you say his name 5 times while looking in the mirror, and sets out to prove the story is nothing more than a hoax. But later she becomes convinced when the Candyman reveals himself to her, and now she must stop the Candyman before his reign of murder can continue. Now, if you guys might have guessed, yes, I chose this film in particular because earlier this year in June, the Nia DaCosta directed sequel Reboot was supposed to come out, but of course got delayed to next year. And I definitely planned to do a review for the film before then in preparation. But since it's a horror movie, and again, now the film ain't coming out this year at all, I decided for this to be this year's Halloween classic to review. Because for quite a while now, I've been wanting to talk about how truly underrated of a film it is. You see, Candyman is one of those old horror movies that, because of its sequels, earns the reputation of just being thrown off as one of those cheap slasher movies that is only really watched for blood and guts, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But, just like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, this film does not deserve that reputation at all, because Candyman is way more than just people getting slaughtered into stains. It's actually more of a dark fairy tale that is both genuinely haunting, but also horrifically beautiful. Director Bernard Rose made this movie stand out the most from various other iconic horror films. There's a very Lovecraftian aura to this film that just captivates you, not only with the beautifully haunting musical score by Philip Glass, but mostly with how the film is shot, as well as some of the editing. I don't even have the best words to precisely explain what I mean, but I'm pretty certain that if you've already seen this movie, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, it's that immersive of a film. But of course, the chilling tones of the film aren't all that matter. There are also, of course, some of the great performances from the cast. Like, sure, there is that one particular fantastic performance that stands out above everyone else that I will get into, but I feel like Virginia Madsen, who plays Helen Lyle, doesn't get enough credit, because her performance as the main character Helen is just amazing in this movie. Alongside Ellen Ripley and Laurie Strode, she's one of the best female leads in a horror movie out there. She starts off as just never convinced of any actual supernatural forces being behind any of these murders that she hears about, to being hell-bent on stopping this Candyman and throughout the film, you are just constantly rooting for her. She's a character you get invested in. She's a character that you want to see win. She's a great protagonist. Like, when it finally gets to the point where she now totally believes the Candyman to be legit, and every time the Candyman is just having her be the one that's taking all the blame for the murders, we not only feel bad for her whenever she gets blamed for it, but of course we root for her to stop him from continuing his murderous reign. And the first time I saw the movie, I did not expect Helen to actually die. And when she did, I was definitely sad. And it's even more emotional when, at her funeral, all the residents of Cabrini Green come and join the mourning. Like, I actually would have thought that scene would have been nothing if they didn't arrive. But yeah, Helen is a great lead star, and I truly think she deserves more credit for why this movie is so good. A lot of the other side characters I also liked, like Jake, played by Daejeon Guy. He's this kid who Helen at one point kind of makes friends with, who helps her find that gang leader who was using the Candyman name as a cover story. I liked their little dynamic they had. Like, it's not really like a mother figure, son figure, sidekick relationship at all, but I still found their friendship somewhat sweet. Heck, he even gave us one of the most disturbing and most memorable moments, where he tells the story of when this little boy who one time went into a public bathroom and did the Candyman thing in the mirror and got mutilated in the worst possible way. Like, when I saw that scene in the movie for the first time, that part just stuck with me. I think what made the scene worse was the actual image of the kid on the floor holding himself and just screaming in pain for his mom. It's definitely one of those moments in horror films that just make your skin crawl. I could also talk about the other side characters like Bernadette and Anne-Marie, but yeah, I too just want to talk about the main reason why this film is so loved and why it works so well. And that is, of course, you know what I'm talking about, the man himself, the titular candy lad, Anthony Starr. Psych! Nah, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's fucking Tony Todd. He's the reason the Candyman character is so popular of a horror icon. Mostly because of his haunting voice. Like, in the first scene he's in, like, when you just hear him just speak for the first time, you're immediately just, like, silent. Hearing his voice is both like a cold hand gripping on your soul, but at the same time, it's also strangely inviting. Like, you're scared, but you're also attracted. Like, Tony Todd as Candyman is just downright terrifying. Especially when you just see him standing there looking so damn imposing. Much like Darth Vader in a dark hallway. Or maybe even, as James Rolfe described, like seeing Dracula with his cape. It's incredibly easy to see why this guy became a horror legend after this film came out. Even in both the lame-ass sequels, he was the best thing to come out of them. He made this role his own, and I do hope that in some way possible, he could appear in the newest movie. And it's not just Tony Todd's performance that makes this character amazing. He also has possibly the most tragic backstory of any horror movie icon out there. Many people already know the story, but the story is that he was the son of a slave who became a painter and was commissioned by a wealthy law owner to make a portrait of his daughter. But he found out that him and his daughter had fallen in love. And of course, because racism was such a common thing in those days, the law owner had a lynch mob attack him, cut off his hand, and had him covered in honey and stung to death by bees. And that's why I think Candyman is such a tragic horror villain, because he did nothing to deserve such a horrible fate. He was the victim of hatred and bigotry, and it was all because he fell in love. It was just because of pure hatred that they inadvertently turned him into this murderous demon who doesn't even take pleasure nor even feel bad for anyone he kills. It's also even more deep when you also realize that he doesn't kill out of revenge. He kills because he was a great artist, and the hand that they cut off was his right hand, which he used to paint with. And he replaced that hand with a hook, and now he makes art out of the people he kills.
Oh man, that's deep.
I also love the ending where after the funeral, Dirtbag Trevor is just moping in the bathroom, realizing how shitty he was to Helen by dumping her for some college chick. And after just sobbing, kinda, saying Helen 5 times, of course, she comes to him as a ghost and just uses Candyman's hook to gut him on the spot. Like, even in death, she got more closure. I think we can all agree that was actually a satisfying death. But yeah, Candyman is just a great film that not only works as a scary horror movie, but also as a film that touches on race relations and bigotry, and even as just a film that when you watch it, you're just sucked into it. It has an amazing score, amazing performances, a fantastic titular villain, and overall, I just love this movie. Like, you can even watch this film in the daytime, and it's still terrifying. And I hope the Jordan Peele produced sequel, whenever it comes out, can do it justice. I'm going to give Candyman a 10 out of 10. Like, if you saw Get Out and loved it and wanted to see another film that touches on race, this film is definitely up your alley. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I'll see you next time, and happy Halloween. Peace out.